This is not a floor list of what items to choose, but a guide to teach you what works in the tower and to help you become better at any tower. If you want a floor by floor guide instead, you can check the link in the description. The way that I approach any tower is that first I look at getting good armor, because if you don't die, you can't fail the tower. After that, I look at what my options are for damage and focus either on pure melee or pure ranged. Mixing melee and ranged is often not that great, as you won't have the items or enchantment points to make both good. First, I want to talk about armor, since survivability is the most important thing in the tower. And starting with the enchantments, Snowball, Deflect, Potion Barrier and Chilling are the main enchantments we want, as they give you the best survivability options. Tumblebee, Cooldown, Surprise Gift and Life Boost are all also good, but not to the same extent as the enchantments before. Final Shout can also work well with most artifacts, but it's not something you should aim for. But you can take it if it's an option on any armor that you find that also has some of the other good enchantments. Now, for Final Shout, you only need to put tier 1 on it, because even at tier 1 it's almost as great as tier 3. The difference is very small. And for what armor we want, it's anything that has the 35% damage reduction perk, just like the mercenary armor you start with. So often you can keep the mercenary armor for a long time before needing to change it for anything. The 30% chance to negate hits is a bit more unreliable, but it can work if the enchantments on the armor are really great. But I would try to go for any armor with the 35% damage reduction perk. Now, plate armor and reinforced mail are the best non-unique armor options. That's because they have both the 35% damage reduction and the 30% chance to negate hits. Now, best uniques are Stalwart armor, Full Metal armor, Wither armor and Beehive armor. Stalwart and Full Metal armor, they are just uniques of the best non-uniques, so that's obvious that they are good. Wither is good because it also gives the life boost aura, in addition to the 35% damage reduction, so you don't need to have any other healing if you get a Wither armor. And the Beehive armor, it also has the 35% damage reduction, and in addition to that it gives you bees when you take damage, and the bees help you distract mobs, so you take less damage from mobs as they target your bees instead of you. You can also use any other armor with the 35% damage reduction perk. For melee weapons, you usually want something that has a good area and damage. And the area is important since a lot of floors is just about spawning a lot of mobs against you. The best melee options are Saw Blade, Double Axe, Katana, Bone Club, Obsidian Claymore, Pickaxe and the Void Touch blades. You can't just rely on having a good weapon type, having good enchantments is also important. For enchantments, Void Strike is the best, as you rarely have the mushroom, so Void gives you an even bigger boost in damage than what you are used to. The other good damage enchantments, Critical Hit, Committed, Sharpness are good. I also recommend you get enchantments that help you with survivability. Just like with armor, survivability on melee is great. This includes the healing enchantments, Leeching, Radiance, Anima Conduit. Guarding Strike, Weakening, and Bossy Bees are all really good for damage reduction or damage negation. Now Stunning, Freezing also work, but they aren't as great. And for ranged weapons, if you want to do a ranged build, you want to have Quiver artifacts, since they will increase your damage a lot and ensure you never run out of arrows. To use the Quiver artifacts the most efficient way, you want to have bows that shoot multiple arrows at once. Burst Crossbow is the best out of the non-uniques, since it has low spread and can hit the boss with all 3 arrows it fires. Scatter Crossbow is also good. Dual Crossbows not so much, as it only shoots 2 and the damage is a bit too low. Winter's Touch is also great, but that requires you to use the unique smith on your bow, which is usually not what you want to do. Now, Harp Crossbow with multi-shot is the best bow you can get, and I recommend you try to make it part of your build every time you see it. Other ranged weapons that are good are the Gong Crossbows, the Bubble Burster, and any Soul Bow or Soul Crossbow with Anima Conduit, and anything with Overcharge that you can use to do massive damage against bosses. Now, good bow enchantments in the tower are exactly the same as in normal play, with one exception. Exception being that looting is banned in the tower, as it only gives TNT. You want Overcharge and Supercharge if you are going for a boss killer bow. Multi-shot, Infinity, Chain Reaction, Ricochet if going for Quivers, and then Anima Conduit for healing every time you see it. Now for artifacts, the Power Shaker is the best artifact for the tower in my opinion. The reason being that it gives you both burst damage against bosses and good AoE damage against normal floors, and it has a really short cooldown. Gong is always good, 2 times damage is really strong, only downside being that the Gong has a bit too long cooldown. Death Camp Mushroom is good, just like in normal play, but it's slightly worse in the tower because you can't have it permanently active. Lightning Rod is the strongest soul artifact, and it makes any boss trivial. Blast Fungus is really nice against the groups of mobs, but it isn't as good against bosses as the options mentioned before. Satchel of Elixirs is also good, because it gives you strength potions and shadow brews. Now the Harpoon Quiver is the best out of the Quiver artifacts, but the other ones are also good if you have a ranged build. And having one summon artifact as a distraction for mobs is nice. I personally like the Bossy Nest the most, but the Golem Kit is also good, both having slightly different strengths. The biggest difference between Bees and Golem is that Bees are much better than Golem if they are underleveled, as the Bees keep respawning while the Golem just dies. You can take either in almost any tower build and do just fine, as long as you remember that the purpose of the summons is to distract mobs, not be your main damage source. And the Lamb Medallion, it is a strong artifact, since mobs in the tower aren't enchanted, but you need to be careful, as using it on creepers is dangerous. Now Enchanter's Tome and Shadow Shifter are both really good artifacts, but only for multiplayer. And I do not recommend using the Iron Hamlet, Regen Totem or Soul Healer in the tower. It is because the offensive artifacts just offer so much more compared to the defensive ones, and the healing artifacts fall short as soon as you upgrade your armor. Now the Satchel of Snacks being an exception, as it heals based on your max health, not a certain number. Now when you are in the item selection screen, you can see what the next floor will be. And whenever you see that the next floor is a merchant floor, you should consider if there is any item you can take. Because the merchants will increase the power of your item based on the highest power item you have. The unique smith and guildsmith both make the item 5 levels higher than your highest power item, and the powersmith makes your item 10 levels higher than the highest item. And whenever you are unsure about what item to use the merchants on, I recommend you do your armor. That's because, as I mentioned before, survivability is the most important thing. Now the second option, if you know that there will be a better armor shortly after the merchant, so you don't want to do your armor there, is to upgrade your main damage source, that being usually your melee weapon. Now for bosses, the Evoker, Wildfire, and the Drowned Necromancer all take knockback, so you can try to knock them off the map. The Redstone Golem can't attack you if you go close enough to it, so you can use that to cheese the boss. And the Enderman doesn't aggro against you unless you damage it or walk too close to it, so it's often possible to kill the other boss that spawns in without the Enderman getting angry at you. And for the Illusioner always spawns where the circle is, so if you focus on that circle and the spawn, you can easily kill the Illusioner before it teleports away. Now there's a trick for the Ghast. It spawns high up in the air and it needs to come down before it can start attacking. And if you stand right below where the Ghast spawns, you can stop it from coming down and you can damage it without it being able to attack you. Now for the Jungle Abomination, you need to remember that it's immune to any damage when it first spawns in, and you have to wait a couple seconds before you can start attacking. So you should not use all your artifacts before it can take damage. The other bosses don't have anything special about them, so it's just about you doing more damage to them than they do damage to you. And I know many of you are looking forward to Dungeons 2. So am I.